End of this session, we will have covered the following aspects of project management, that is project execution, and after that, we're going to also go through project execution strategies, and after that, we're also going to go through the project monitoring phase, which is one of the phases in the project management cycle. Then after that, we're also going to look at the project monitoring types. We have various types of project monitoring. We're also going to have a look at those types and probably when to use them and when best to rely on them. So this is our main focus for the day. So by the end of this session, these are the core aspects or the core things that we need to have covered today. So I'll jump right into it. So we've been having a look at this diagram ever since I met you guys. So the reason why I normally just show you guys this diagram before now we tackle the specific phase we're tackling is just to ensure that each and every person is at par and each and every person understands the project life cycle. This is the project management life cycle. So we have the first cycle, initiation, then we have planning, then we have the third phase, which is execution, the fourth phase, which is monitoring, and the fifth phase, which is closure. So for us, we've already tackled initiation and planning. So our major focus will be on execution and monitoring for today's session. Then in next week's session, we will now finish the project life cycle with closure. Then we will also have a look at certain tools. Then yeah, the program will be coming also to an end. You guys will be ready now to just tackle your final project. So as we said, these are the phases of project management. There are 5 of them. What essentially happens in the project execution phase, here the project manager or you as the product owner, you engage with stakeholders. For the stakeholders, we are talking about internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. So these are your team members and the investors who actually invested on your project. So you'll engage with stakeholders, try and make ensure that the communication between you and the various stakeholders the communication is perfect, or the communication is concrete, such that anything that needs to be aligned on can be aligned on. So yeah, you also just here in this specific phase, actually the actual work happens. So if you're having a team, you will give them tasks. They will actually actualize on the tasks, and they'll have a certain plan to follow through. Remember, during the project planning phase, we had a plan that we created. So that plan is now what is being followed when the execution phase now comes to play. Then for monitoring, that is after the project execution phase. So for this phase, you just track the progress of what your team members have been doing. You just have here you'll have certain KPIs, certain goals to just check if they've achieved them or if they have hit the specified goals. So you'll also just be monitoring on the work they have delivered. Does it meet the quality that probably the external stakeholders want? Does everything probably is every feature in place? Is your work or is the project ready to just be handed over to the users for approvals? So for approvals, that will happen now in the project closure stage. So this is what we've been trying to view, and this is what we've been working around for the past few lessons. So yeah, today we are going to be focusing now on the third phase, which is execution phase. So here, execution phase, it basically involves the allocation of resources and making of the deliverables. So here, you already have your resources. You have your team members there. You have tools that you're going to use as some of the resources. So what happens now is your main work is now to just oversee and ensure that the resources that you have will actually be used to just obtain the deliverables at the end of the project. So this is the main thing that happens in the execution phase. So this is actually the main work, and it's actually done by your team members. So your main work here is just to oversee them and ensure that everything is in place and all the deliverables are being met. So that is for execution. So project execution, it basically comes after project initiation, scheduling and project planning. So this is the third phase of project life cycle, where planning has already been taken into action and the work is being carried out. So project execution is actually also known as project implementation. So the term execution and implementation go hand in hand. So this is the phase which the plan created at the earlier stages of the project life cycle is placed into action. So here now we now talk about the main purpose of the project execution, which is now to bring the expected project outcomes and deliverables. So this is the main or the core purpose of a project execution phase. So here the actual work is being done and the deliverables are being achieved or they're being hit. So when we talk about the project execution stage, we normally have certain strategies that are used for this specific stage. So some of these strategies they have been outlined, as you can see on the slide. We have 6 different execution strategies. So the first strategy is called create group accountability. So that is our first strategy. The second strategy we are going to go with is choose your North Star. So I believe we all know what North Star is and what North Star entails. If you don't know what that is, probably have a quick Google somewhere. But yeah, I'll also take you guys through that and explain what it means. Then we also have a visualize, a track, visually track progress. So here you just track the progress that the team members are actually having in a visual platform. So for example, last week we had a look at Jira. So Jira is a very good tracking tool when it comes to just visually seeing what the team members have actually done and what they have actionated. So we also have the fourth one as a reward hard work. So for reward hard work, basically you can just think of it as rewarding the team players of your team. So you'll find that in a team you have certain members who have actually worked really hard. They have gone beyond their measures, and you've noticed that. So it is a good culture to just reward them and motivate them. So we have also assess talent gaps. So here, when you talk about assessing the talent gaps, you'll find that you as a project manager, you as a product owner, you need to know the strengths of your team. You need to know the strength of your team members. You need to know what they're good at and what they're not good at. So here you just try and allocate tasks that they are good at to them. So here, that's why we are talking about assessing the talent gaps. So if there is a gap somewhere, you try fill it by allocating team member who is maybe good at working at that specific task. Then we have establish feedback loops. When we talk about establishing feedback loops, here basically what we're trying to say is you should always have a continuous, you should always collect feedback continuously. So the communication between you and your team should be really strong in such a way that if there is something that if there is something that is not going correctly, or if they need help somewhere, they can actually just reach out to you, or they can just provide feedback and tell you probably this is not an approach we would have used. Maybe we should have tried this approach. So that's what happens when you talk about a feedback loop. So having a continuous feedback loop is a really good thing. So when we talk about the first execution strategy, create group accountability. So here you just need to you need to just allocate the tasks that you've created to specific team members. So you'll be working on a certain project, you'll be the project owner, you guys will you'll have a team. Each and every team member will have a role that they're playing in your specific team. So having them collaborate between each other is actually really important. So here you just create the tasks for them, and you ensure that everybody everybody knows what they're supposed to do, and you hold them accountable in that they should submit that specific task in the allocated time frame. So if you decide, let's say that you're working on a 2-week sprint, you should also hold them accountable. Once the 2 weeks are over, they need to have delivered what they were supposed to deliver. So when we now talk about choosing your North Star, so North Star is your bigger picture or goal. So basically you'll find that organizations usually have objectives, and also employees. You'll find that employees also have their personal objectives. So it's really awesome when probably the company's objectives and the employees' objectives are in alignment. So you'll find that there's actually a drive to that employee. That employee has a certain drive in just working on a project or working on the company's programs or project. So here you just need to state the company's objectives. Try ensure that probably your employees' objectives are also aligning with the company's objectives. So you'll need to know what your employees' objectives are. So here now, you must understand your employees. You must understand where they're coming from, what they're trying to achieve, and so on. So that's where choosing your North Star comes in. So it's also known as purpose-driven management. So you just ensure that your employees have purpose, or they find meaning in what they're doing. So that is one strategy of execution. Then we have the visually track progress. So here we've stated that we have certain tools that can help us in this. So you'll just have a tool like Jira. You should ensure that each and every person in your team is able to see the other person's progress. So that will actually make them more accountable, and they'll actually deliver on time. In that, probably one feature is also probably you'll find that one feature that one of your team members is working on is also being it's dependent upon by another feature being built by another person. So you'll find that the features mostly are intertwined, and if probably one person lags behind, it will affect the whole team. So you should always ensure that this progress can be seen by everybody in the team, so that they can know where they are. Then when we talk about reward hard work, I've already talked about this. You should always just ensure that your team is motivated enough. You should always ensure that culture is there. People feel they feel that they are rewarded. They feel that they are recognized for the work that they do. So you should always ensure that you have that culture amongst your team members and also amongst your company. Then access talent gaps. We've talked about this. Here you just need to know probably the weaks and the strengths and weakness of your team, and just ensure that you provide them with tasks that they are comfortable handling, and they know they can handle. Then establishing feedback loops. Here we've said feedback is really essential through the project cycle, and it is better to know that something, know when something is going wrong or something of the sort early enough, so that you can know on ways to mitigate it, or on how to also solve that specific problem. So that is why feedback loops are very important. That is why we really need feedback. So this is for the project execution strategy. I don't know if there are any questions on that point. If there are no questions in this specific section, I can also just proceed to the next section. Okay, awesome. So I believe, is there someone talking?
Sorry, sir. The second one, choose your North Star. I didn't catch the main. Please describe it again.
Okay, so if I've gotten your question correctly, saying I talk about the North Star. So you can think of a North Star like a big picture goal. So probably you're working for a certain organization. Their main work is to empower, let's say, the community, or they're trying to drive a certain change in the community. So that can be your North Star. Maybe you as an employee, if you join that specific company, your personal also goal, you feel you have satisfaction when probably you assist the community. So when you join that company and the company's objective align with probably your objective, it will be really easy for you to just deliver on tasks or on goals or care that you're given on that specific organization. So that's why we talk about your North Star, understanding your North Star. So here you can actually go read on a certain article that was actually provided by Forbes. I'll just share the link on the chat, then it will give you an overview illustration on how the North Star works or what the North Star is. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, Safdari.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to proceed. So who is in charge of project execution? So here, as you can see, the project managers are in charge of the project execution. What they have to do is they draft a very detailed project execution plan, and they get buy-ins from the stakeholders. So the project manager also oversees people's communication and progress through the entire phase. So as a project manager, your main work is to ensure that the communication is perfect from the internal stakeholders, which are your team members, and also through to the external stakeholders, who are now the investors or the people who you're actually delivering the project to. So at the end of the day, if a project execution is not successful, remember the project manager is the one who will explain probably why the project is not successful, why probably the project needs a certain extension of time frame or timelines. So you as a project manager, you're the one actually responsible for answering those specific questions. That's why we normally say for project managers, if something goes wrong, you are the one who who is supposed to answer the questions. But if everything goes on well, if the project is okay, your team members are the ones who actually take the credit. So for the project managers, if everything goes wrong, you're the one who actually normally takes the blame, or you're the one to answer the various questions or on why something didn't go the way it was expected, or why it didn't meet the quality that it was supposed to have. But yeah, generally that is the work of a project manager. So this is just to show you who is in charge of project executions, and we've agreed, I believe each and every person in the call is in agreement with me that the project managers are the ones who are responsible for, who are in charge for the project execution phase. So that is for who is in charge of the execution phase. Now we're going to have a look at what are the challenges of project execution. So during project execution, we normally encounter challenges. You as a project manager, you'll be encountering challenges when leading a team through this specific phase. So the three main challenges that probably most or all project managers face is one is managing people, the second one is facilitating processes, and the third one is communication. So for managing people, you'll find that probably it will be really hard for a product owner or a project manager to just understand each and every individual and their working styles. So here now trying to understand how people work, trying to understand probably the weaknesses and the strengths of your team members comes in handy. Usually, you will find also that probably you've planned for a certain sprint. Maybe a certain sprint should go for 1 month. Then you'll find in that specific month, your team members have vacations, they have probably weddings to attend to, they have family tragedies and things of the sort. So you as a project manager, you'll also need to know how to just relocate resources and how to ensure that your team members actually feel that you're a good manager, in that you won't hinder them from actually going from their planned vacation. So you as a project manager, you have to think of a way around to just ensure that you are mitigating that. Then the second thing, we have facilitating the processes. So here, what happens here, probably you'll find that you have to continue monitoring the progress of your team members. And here you'll find that what really helps you is that there are actually tools that really help. One of them was Jira. I can mention Trello. We have GitHub Kanban section, so you can always use that for facilitating the processes. So when we come now to communication is key in that probably there is something that there's a feature that is not working as it should be working. Communication is key in that probably you need to also communicate to the investors and tell them that you need either extra resources or probably extra tools to just work, to just find a way around that specific problem. So communication is also key, and it's one of the challenging things that project managers face. So for communication, I believe what project managers can do, they can use tools to assist in communication. But for communication, I also believe you can always improve your communication skills by maybe taking some courses, some online courses, and also just trying to know how your team members communicate and how probably how they prefer communicating. You'll find that other people prefer communicating from emails, other people prefer in-person meetings and things of the sort. So you should just ensure that you're also communicating well with your team. So moving on to how to implement a project execution plan. So here the following, here we have the steps of how to probably just implement the execution plan. So I'll read them to you guys, then we will see them intensively as we proceed. So the first step is first put a brief meeting to strategize and define the project before commencing the work. So here, after everything is in order, after you have your plan, you should actually have an initial meeting to just ensure that everybody is at par and everybody is understanding where the project is. Then take feedback and review it. In that specific meeting, you're going to be provided with feedback. Kindly ensure you note down that feedback, then review it. Feedback is really, really important because probably you'll find that your team members have seen something that you had not forecast or you had not seen. So distribute and assign the work. Give a clear idea on who will be performing which task. Ensure you distribute the work to your team members. Allocate the tasks to your members. Ensure they know who will be working on what. Then analyze the planning to find out the risk that might occur. So here you just analyze on the planning that you had initially. If there are risks that might occur, try to find ways to mitigate them early enough before even they occur. Just by speculating on what could happen and what not. So have a consistent track of your work and key performance indicators. So here for the KPIs, remember you will have certain KPIs. These KPIs will be the ones to just tell you if probably a certain goal has been hit, a certain goal has been attained or not. So usually have your KPIs documented and somewhere nice and somewhere accessible. So maintain reviewing the work process and steps of your team members. This will ensure that everybody is on the same page. So reviewing your team members work. So as I told you guys, you will always ensure that you have constant stand-ups with your team members. So some of these stand-ups will just be communicating probably some of the reviews. So but ensure you as a product manager, you always review your team members' work before probably they are pushed to deployment or before they are pushed to the next stage, whichever the project you're working on. So be flexible with the changes. You should always be flexible. Don't be rigid. Ensure you're flexible just to accommodate changes that might occur through the project, through the execution phase. Then have clear communication with teams and stakeholders. So have clear communication with both stakeholders. Set up with changes successfully. So this is the last point. So set up with changes successfully. So that is how we implement the project execution phase. So yeah, any questions regarding the execution phase? But this marks the end of the project execution phase. Now we will be moving on to the project monitoring phase. So I'll pause there for any questions. Anybody with a question regarding the project execution phase? Okay, sorry about that. So nice. I believe there are no more questions. So here in the monitoring phase, when we talk about monitoring, this phase basically involves just overseeing and seeing what the team members have created and controlling the work of the project. So here basically you just have a look at what probably should have been done correctly, what should have been done maybe better. If there is something that needs to be changed, you kindly communicate to the respective teams so that the respective changes can be made. But yeah, project monitoring refers to the ongoing process of tracking and supervising a project's performance, progress, and activities. So it ensures that the project actually just stays on track and the project is accomplished within the specified scope, timelines, and also the budget. So project monitoring is important because it provides continuous oversight and control over project activities, progress, and performance. So it is really important just to know, to have an oversight on how the project is generally going, and how probably the performances of that specific project as we proceed. So it helps in early issue detection. It also helps in informed based decision making and also timely corrective actions. So when you talk about maybe early issue detection, so remember, when working on a project, high chances are that you're going to encounter issues. In most projects, actually, most people encounter issues. So when you talk about early detection of issues, it is better to detect an issue early enough so that you can find ways to just mitigate it, or find ways to just do away with the issues. So it is really, really important to just ensure that you're detecting issues in an early stage. So that is why project monitoring is actually really, really, really important. Okay. When you're talking about now informed decision making, so if you monitor now the progress of the project, if you're always monitoring the progress of the project, you'll be in a better position to just make informed decisions about the next steps of the project. So you as a project manager, when probably you'll need to make a certain decision, it will be easier because you've been monitoring the project. So yeah, that is actually one other thing that actually helps, that is one thing that is an advantage of project managing per se, or project monitoring. Then we have now the timely corrective actions. So ultimately, when you probably just discover those issues at an early stage, making corrections and making changes becomes easier, rather than identifying those various issues towards the project closure stage. So that will be quite challenging. So we are also going to be looking at the importance of project monitoring. So some of these importance, I've actually mentioned them. We have early detection of issues, improved decision making. Then we have enhanced accountability. Then we have effective resource allocation. Finally, we have stakeholder engagement. So you'll find that these are the reasons why project monitoring is really, really important, and why we should always ensure that we are monitoring our projects. So allow me now to proceed to the next bit. So here we are going to be talking about the project monitoring types. So in project monitoring, we usually have different project monitoring techniques. So these are actually just based on the project that you're probably trying to achieve, or you're trying to come up with. It is also based on the company probably that you're working on. So you'll find that certain companies prefer certain monitoring types as opposed to others. Then another thing will also be probably the requirements of the project and the scope of the project. So some of the monitoring types that we have the progress monitoring. So this type of monitoring focuses on tracking the project progress. So here, what happens, you just track the progress of the project. It ensures that the project stays on track and enables just timely adjustments to that specific project. So the main purpose for just progress monitoring is to ensure that the project stays on track. Then we have quality monitoring. So for quality monitoring, it involves assessing and measuring the quality of a project deliverables against predefined standards and benchmarks. So here, when you talk about quality monitoring, it just ensures that the project meets the quality criteria, and and also the specific quality has been met within the specified timeframes and the budget allocated. So for quality monitoring, we're just using that specific type to ensure that we are monitoring the quality of our project or product. Then we have risk monitoring. So this type of project monitoring ensures that it ensures that it actually just involves identifying, assessing, and monitoring project risks through the project life cycle. So it just ensures that risks have been identified, risks have been mitigated. So if you probably use this specific type of project monitoring, it will be awesome because you'll be able to identify risks way early, and you'll try find ways to just mitigate those specific risks. Then we have cost monitoring. So cost monitoring involves tracking and controlling project expenses against the allocated budget. So for cost monitoring, essentially here, it just ensures that the project has been delivered within the allocated costs that was initially planned, or the allocated budget that was allocated to that specific project. So for cost, it just ensures that the project budget has been well utilized. It was actually well segmented to different sections and different parts of that specific project. Then we have finally the performance monitoring. So for performance monitoring, it actually just focuses on evaluating the performance of project team members, suppliers, and contractors. So here, this is whereby the KPIs come in handy. So if you have KPIs, it will be actually very easy for you to just monitor the performance of your various team members. So that's where performance monitoring comes in. So these are the various monitoring types that we have. We have, I believe, 5. I don't know if we have more, but if you guys can go do more research on that. But these are the core 5 monitoring. These are the core 5 monitoring types that we have. Then we are now going to go to the techniques of project monitoring. So here we have various techniques that can be used to just ensure that the project monitoring phase is well executed or well implemented. So some of these techniques that we have, they're the ones that I've actually listed on the slide below. So we have the Gantt chart. So the Gantt chart is just a visual representation of project schedules, tasks, and dependencies. So it just helps actually to track the progress, identify bottlenecks, and manage timelines effectively. So this is the Gantt chart. So we haven't had a look at it intensively, but in the next session, I believe we will be creating, we will have a look at it and see how it works, what information is placed in the charts, and how to probably collect data from the chart also. Then we have the earned value management, so the EVM. So it integrates cost, schedules, and performance data to assess project progress. It actually compares the planned and actual performance to determine variances and forecast project outcomes. So this is the earned value management technique. You can also just use this for project monitoring. Then we have the KPIs, the key performance indicators. So KPIs, they are actually quantifiable. It's a quantifiable matrix in that you can actually quantify it. You can give a value of how this specific target has been hit. So they provide objective data to evaluate progress and identify areas of improvement. So that is for the KPIs. They just ensure probably if you have a KPI or the employees under you are using are having certain KPIs, so you're managing your team. So it's easier for you to just explain to them maybe you need to improve on this area as opposed to this area. So yeah, since it is quantifiable, it can be easily you can quantify it, you can give it a certain value. So we have risk assessment metrics. So for risk assessment metrics, it identifies, prioritize, and monitors project risks. So here you just ensure probably that will use this technique, it will be easier for you to just ensure that you are tracking risks or you're identifying risks at hand, and also you are trying to just mitigate them. Then we have milestone tracking. So for this specific technique of project monitoring, So tracking is just here, you just track the progress of the project, if the deliverables have been met, if the actual KPIs have been met, if certain goals have been attained. So here we now using this technique, we call it the milestone tracking. So these are the various techniques that we have. So yeah, and that marks the end of the monitoring stage for us. So maybe one thing that you will also just need to know, the project monitoring actually plays a crucial role in the project life cycle. So it actually enables project managers to just detect issues earlier, make informative decisions, and take actions to just ensure that probably a situation is being avoided, or is being a certain situation is being handled in an appropriate way. So this is what we were supposed to cover today. So yeah, I don't know if we have any questions regarding the project monitoring life cycle, the project monitoring phase, sorry. Okay, everybody is okay, no questions? Okay, so yeah, okay, awesome. So this is what we were actually supposed to cover today. I hope you guys have also been just going through the content on LMS also. It will just assist you in understanding more of this. So for the two specific phases, they are quite short. We still have one phase left, which is the closure phase. Then after that, we will also be looking at Scrum and the various methodologies that we have in project management. So that is it for our session today. I'll stop there unless maybe there is a certain communication from the FEMS tech team. So I don't know. But yeah, that's it for me, and I'll end it there. So bye, guys. So mic check, Jawid. I don't know if that's Jawid. But yeah, okay. Bye, guys. We shall meet in the next session.